Well, I'm sure we're all still reeling from yesterday, but time waits for no man. So, as we set our eyes to the future, what are people really saying about the Commanders in 2025? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we are here to discuss a variety of things. We're going to split this show into two different acts. Act one will be an update from Dan Quinn. What did he say at the podium? Are there coaching changes coming? Are there player personnel changes coming? What should we expect in the immediate future and the long-term future as well? And then act two of the show. What are the popular topics of conversation right now? What are people saying is going wrong with the team, and what is my opinion on the matter? We're about to dive into all of that and a whole lot more, guys. I appreciate you rocking out with me. The reception on the last video, the game recap, it's been overwhelming. I've been really humbled by all the support for it. If you guys missed it, go check it out. It's very raw, unfiltered, emotional. On this channel, I try to keep it very analytical. I try not to pull any punches, but I try to keep a balanced head. And in that video, I very much just threw that into the wind. I said, I'm coming to you guys as a fan. The team didn't want to play for the fans, so I'll speak to you as a fan today. It was a really fun episode to record, so make sure you check it out if you have not seen it. So let's jump into the updates from Dan Quinn. He gave these after the loss to the Cowboys, 44-22, still down there at AT&T Stadium. He wanted to make it very clear that injuries are not why we lost. And this is something that this is a sentiment that I would echo. I would double down on this. He talked about penalties, dropped passes, missed tackles, the turnover margin. He said that we beat ourselves. Obviously, the Commanders beat themselves. And to that, I would say, look, injuries always play a part in this, right? The Cowboys had run zone on 91% of snaps. In this game, they ran man on 48%. That was the highest in the entire league that week. It was very obviously because the Commanders didn't have their top three receivers. They were able to stack the box, get 7, 8, 9 guys in there. Bill had nowhere to go, forced the Commanders to throw into man coverage. Injuries do play a role. Injuries are not why we lost, like DQ said. Losing Dorrance Armstrong did not make Marshawn Lattimore run into Quan Martin. Things like that. Injuries play a part, but the identity of the team, the things that you write down on the whiteboard that you want to set out to do in that game, injuries don't prevent you from doing that. So I appreciated the honesty, the candor. I appreciated that he said that. He also, and this is big, okay? Listen up to this. He said that it's fair, quote, it's fair to evaluate if players deserve to be benched, others promoted. He also said that it's fair to question the scheme and if players are being put in positions to succeed. That being said, he also clarified that he never considered taking over the play calling duties from Whitt Jr. He said he's in the headset, listening to the calls, actively communicating with all of the coaches, including those on defense. And he felt the play calling was fine. So where I get confused in this matter is if it's fair to question scheme, if it's fair to question players being on the field, and if they're being put in positions to help them succeed or maximize their potential, why is it not also fair to question play calling? Those things seem to go hand in hand for me. Now, you could be in theoretically a favorable defense. If it's 3rd and 14 and the Cowboys are blocking 6 and you're calling a 6-man blitz, double mug, both linebackers are coming, we're going to get the ball out of Dak's hands quickly. Sure, in theory, there's nothing wrong with that play call because that's how it should work. But if we do relate this back to the roster limitations, the communication issues, and just the way that the game is going, if we're questioning scheme, if we're questioning how guys are being put in positions, then play calling, even if it's objectively a smart call, considering the context, wouldn't that also make the play calling questionable? That's where I get lost. Now, I'll be clear. I don't want Dan Quinn taking over play calling duties. And I don't think bringing Whitt Jr. out of the box down on the sideline, I don't think that changes anything either. I think this is something that needs to happen in the coach's office. If there's not going to be a coaching change, which I got an update for you on in just about 30, 60 seconds or so here. But it's just something that I think needs to happen in the coach's room back in Ashburn, back at the training facility. You need to get the game plan right. You need to get the proper personnel packages. You need to get, in this situation, this is what we're doing, et cetera, et cetera. He also subtly called out a couple of players. I felt like he was subtly calling out Marshon Lattimore, the same way that Cliff Kingsbury's kind of subtly called out Terry McLaurin a few times this year. I felt like I got that. Joe Whitt Jr. kind of subtly called out Bobby Wagner. Or no, I actually can't remember now if it was Whitt or DQ who did it. But they had subtly called out Bobby Wagner. This time I felt like he was subtly calling out Marshon Lattimore. He was talking about explosive plays. And he said, look, it's those head scratchers where I'm looking at that like, how did that happen? He said, I've got no problem if it's a deep ball and it comes right over the defender's head. They get they get their eyes back on the ball. They get a hand up and the receiver snatches it. I got no problem with that. That's basically exactly what I said in my post-game reaction. I'm not mad at Marshon Lattimore. If it's a jump ball, George Pickens, he goes up, snatches it, great fight, and he just wins the 50-50. It's literally a 50-50, a coin flip. Oh, it's tails. That means Pickens won it this time. Oh, it's heads. Lattimore won it that time. I would not be mad at that. It's the weird plays where Lattimore seems he seems surprised. It's the weird plays where Lattimore seems surprised that the ball's being thrown on a passing play, not getting his head turned around, running into Quan. I mean, how many times are these guys going to run into each other, man? Yeah, Quan gave a pathetic effort at a tackle, and Lattimore gave a pathetic effort trying to even be involved in the play on the DeAndre Swift touchdown against the Bears, the 55-yarder. But those two same guys, they ran into each other early in the play. They ran into each other again here. I feel like something similar happened against the Packers. I'm just confused at this point. DQ said, quote, it's things that he can't put his finger on. And that's kind of what it is. You're looking at these mistakes. We've been together for 2 years now. How is this even happening? How is this possible? So we'll see what happens there. Now, ESPN's John Keim, Commanders reporter, insider, poured cold water on a lot of stuff. He said that Joe Whitt Jr. will not be fired during the season. He said that Marshon Lattimore will not be benched because the team considers him one of their top corners. It's from John Keim. He said it on his podcast after the game. I would be surprised if he was fed information that quickly. If the team was scrambling like that to make a PR response, it very clearly indicates. Imagine if after the game someone called up John Keim and said, hey, by the way, we're not benching Lattimore. Kind of seems like a precursor to benching Lattimore, so I don't think that's what happened. I think he is just judging off the information he's gotten over the course of the year, being inside the locker room, the walls, the training facility. That's the vibe that he's getting. So I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts on that are. But to everybody who wants Joe Whitt Jr. fired, wants DQ take over play calling duties, Lattimore benched, seems like it's not going to happen, at least from what ESPN's John Keim is saying there. So that's pretty much all of the updates from Dan Quinn. That is going to signal the end of Act 1 of this video. So now we're going to go into Act 2. All right, friends, let's get to the second section of the video. Act 2, this is going to be where we jump in and discuss the popular topics of conversation amongst Commanders fans right now, Commanders Nation as a whole, to try to explain what's going wrong with this team. How do we feel about the short and the long term? Why isn't the team producing? Are we blaming coaches? Are we blaming players? Are we blaming the front office? I'm just going to bring up some popular topics of conversation, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. As we go through this, please go to the comment section. As always, leave me your thoughts on everything I said. And by the way, guys, if you are here, make sure you hit the like button if you haven't done that up to this point. So without further ado, let's jump into it. The identity is supposed to be so important to this franchise, to this regime. They say the same things over and over and over again. And I think it's finally time that we start to pick them apart piece by piece. I think it's finally time to start judging the coaches by how they asked us to judge them. The first thing is they want to produce the ball. The ball is life. They're 31st in takeaways per game this season. Only the winless Jets are worse. They're tied for 27th in turnover margin per game. The Jets, the Browns, and the Dolphins, I believe, are the 3 teams below them. So if producing the ball is one of the key ways to measure your success, I hear DQ talk about this all the time. Get to 55 rushing attempts plus completions. That's how you win a game. Have a positive turnover margin. That's how you win a game. If that's what you have set your eyes on, if that's your goal, and I'm judging you off of it, you have failed. Last year, the Commanders were significantly better with turnovers than they are this year, which is saying something because I didn't feel like they were great last year. They were, I want to say, like 17th, tied for 17th. So the best version of them is below league average or just about league average. The current version, which should actually be better, second year in the system, same head coach, same defensive coordinator, a lot of the same players. Really, the only personnel moves on that side of the ball were figured to be upgrades. It should be better, but it's getting a lot worse. Okay, winning time moments. You're 22nd in penalties. You're 22nd in penalties per game. Just had 11 for more than 100 yards in that loss against the Cowboys. I don't know if this counts as a winning time moment since it's early in the game, but how about the slow starts? The 10-0, 10-0, 13-0, 14-0 holes against Dallas. I mean, technically you went up 8-7, but you were down 17-8. We're going to speak about winning time moments from that game specifically. How about scoring a touchdown to make it 15-20, 45 seconds left? You get the ball coming out of halftime. You could be up a touchdown if you score on your first drive of the second half. You could be up 22-20. Instead, after getting a sack on the first play of that possession, again, 45 seconds left, Cowboys got the ball at their 25-yard line. 44-yard bomb, Dak to Pickens over Lattimore. Very next play from the 35-yard line, the Cowboys have no intention of scoring. All they want to do is kick a field goal. And the Commanders say, no, we insist. Run it with Javonte Williams up the middle from 35 yards out. I tell you what, we'll give you a special deal. We'll give you 34 yards. You can get down to the 1-yard line. I watched that play back. And honestly, guys, I'm going to live stream. I don't know if I'm going to be able to today. I've got so much to do at work. I'm really going to try. Whenever I can get this live stream, we're going to watch back some of these plays. And this is going to be one of the plays we watch. Bobby Wagner plays the super ultra mega cutback angle, takes himself out of the play. Jeremy Reeves is in the box. We're in dime package. He's in the box. He cheats out too far. Darnell Savage is caught flat-footed. And then Quan Martin gets dragged 10 yards from the 10-yard line down to the 1. Winning time moments. The run and hit style. Whitt Jr. said at his press conference the Commanders were, I think he said 17th in missed tackle rate, which obviously still not great. But they also had the 4th most missed tackles this year going into the game on Sunday. I don't know what it is coming out of it. But the run and hit style, okay, maybe you hit them, but like, can we tackle them? And the running, I didn't see it on the Bijan Robinson touchdown run where everybody switched their engines off. I didn't see it with Lattimore on that touchdown to DeAndre Swift. I'm not seeing it on a lot of these plays. There's not a desire. There's not a fight from a lot of these players. And the funny thing is, it seems to be the same culprits. I've never looked at Javon Kinlaw and said he's not trying. I've never looked at Deron Payne and said he's not trying. I'm not going to call him out by name, but you know who we're all thinking of right now. The way we live isn't for everyone. There was a play in the third quarter where Dak, it's 3rd and 8. I think it's in the red zone. If not, it's right next to the red zone. Dak takes off on a scramble. Mikey and Wagner are sitting 8 yards back, right at the first down marker, right in front of him, waiting for him. And they're disciplined. Dak is starting to run. We're staying here. We're staying disciplined. We're not going to let you throw it over our heads as we come to get you. Perfect job, guys. But then once Dak crosses the line of scrimmage, they don't move. They literally sit there and let Dak get to them. And then they try to tackle him, but it's a first down. The way we live isn't for everyone. The coach can tell us what his aspirations are for the team. They can lay out the principles of what they want their culture to be, but it's clear that that's not happening. And when that is the case, everything that I just talked about, winning time moments, the way we live isn't for everybody, produce the ball, all that good stuff. That's not your identity. Your identity is what I identify you as. It's the same word. It's how I see you. What I see from this team, their identity is lazy, uncommunicative, not together. That's the identity of the team right now. If Dan Quinn had just got hired and this is what he was building, and he was saying, this is what we want it to be, this is the direction we're moving in, okay, no problem. Love to see it. The fact that as time goes on and we're in your second year and we're straying further and further away from those key principles tells me there is a coaching issue. We can talk about what we want that to mean. Does that mean the coordinator's got to get fired? Does that mean the coach got to get fired? Does that mean everything's fine? Maybe you just need to teach the lesson differently? That's up to you. But I can tell you there is an issue, which flows well into our next conversation. There are harrowing signs here, guys. Very troubling signs. There have been several times over the course of the season, it feels like we can attribute a loss directly to one of the coordinators. Cliff against the Packers, holy crap, dude. One of the worst executions of game plan I've ever seen. Whitt Jr. struggling to make adjustments, really making adjustments, but struggling to produce any results, failing to produce results. Okay, we had a good game against the Giants in the first game of the year with a quarterback who got benched. Who cares? Okay, we beat Geno Smith, but he leads the league in interceptions, and that was the only clean game he's played this year was against us. Who else did we beat? Oh, we beat the Chargers. That's a good win. Honestly, it is a good win. But the Chargers have lost 3 of their last 4, and they're down to their 7th string tackle. So, the coaching. Harrowing signs. Back on track here. Second-year guys, Mike Sainristil, for example. Mike Sainristil was called pound for pound the best player in the draft by Nick Saban. You think that guy knows a thing or two about football? He was an elite defender, arguably the best defensive player on the best defense in college that went undefeated and won a national championship. Mikey was better last year as a rookie playing outside than he is in his second year, in another year in the system, in his natural position with the same teammates. How does that make sense? You know, we can get mad at players all we want, but when it's so clear what's going wrong, that coaching is an issue, somebody's got to take accountability for it. And I do love hearing Whitt Jr. He's always going to say it. I need to teach the guys better, not put them in the right positions. That's good. It's accountability. That's what I want. But now we're at the point where I want accountability for why our players aren't developing. And I tell you what, if Mikey's no good, then bench him. And it's not what I'm saying, guys. I think Mikey can be really good. I don't think he deserves to get benched. But either you're responsible for stagnating his development or he just doesn't have it in him. So what is it? The numbers aren't getting better over time. They're getting worse. Pass defense, secondary gets worse. Even as it seems that the roster gets upgraded, the numbers get worse. You can be at a talent disadvantage. This is what I'll say to close out this point. You can be at a talent disadvantage and still win games. You did it last year. You can be at a talent disadvantage and still shut down opposing offenses. I just watched the 49ers without Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, losing Hufanga, losing Greenlaw in free agency. I just saw them hold the Falcons to 10 points. You see it all over the place. Carolina Panthers defense, their roster's not going to knock your socks off, but they've got like a top 7 defense in the NFL this season. It's good coaching. You can overcome roster deficiencies. You can overcome injuries by scheming guys correctly. You know, the Cowboys had a bit of an easy task, but Eberflus, who's awful, said, hey, I know I can make a change here. Instead of running zone 91% of the time, we're only going to do it 50-50 here. Because we have numbers that show us to do this. We know the Commanders are injured. We ran it early in the game and it was working. We're just going to stick to it. Adjust. Put players in positions to succeed. That's how it's done. You entered the year wanting to be a man coverage team. You quickly found out that you couldn't do it. Well, the problem is now you are so predictable. Single high, you're going to get to cover 3. If you got guys down in the mug, it's quarterback blitz, or we're dropping out and it's a sim Tampa 2. A lot of the same looks where guys are rotating to the same spots. Bobby Wagner's so predictable, man. He's playing the hook at a cover 3. If there's a sim pressure, he's dropping out to the middle of the field. If he's in the mug, he's blitzing. You're not getting exotic looks. We don't get corner blitzes. We don't get safety blitzes. You can't really use a lot of man blitzes anymore because you're really struggling with your man coverage. The roster limitations are real, and the coaching staff is going to take heat, and they should. But, man, there's talent on this defense, but there are also holes, and that does get exacerbated by the injuries that we have sustained. When you don't have a pass rush, I forget what the numbers were exactly now, but I want to say going into the Cowboys game, the Commanders generated pressure at the 4th highest rate. They were 6th in yards per attempt when they generated pressure, dead last when they didn't. So your yards per attempt, which is a coverage stat, it's a coverage metric, was actually directly influenced by your defensive line. So when you're not generating pressure, whether it's how you're scheming the defensive line, the blitzes, whether it's the injuries to Dorrance Armstrong and others, Dietrich Wise, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, however you want to slice it, you've got guys being put in positions where it just seems like they can't win. Lattimore can't cover a blade of grass right now. Sainristil's got no clue what's going on. Quan Martin was better with 2 separated shoulders than he is with none of them fully healthy. I just don't get how any of it works. There's talent on this roster, but there's not enough to overcome bad coaching. And that's where we're at with this team right now. This defense specifically. Adam Peters is catching a lot of criticism as well, and I just wanted to review his drafts because I read something from Nikki Jabvala. I was part of her mailbag at The Athletic. Someone had basically asked her how she felt about her drafts, and she said, look, for everybody who's getting on the coaching staff for not putting the young guys on the field, according to some source, I forget now, the Commanders have actually played rookies and, well, now sophomores. They've played their last 2 rookie classes more snaps than any team in the league. So why don't we actually go look at those players and let's give an evaluation of every player. Josh Connolly Jr., work in progress, very mid so far. Trey Amos looks like a solid to really good starter. Jalen Lane, lots of work to be done, has some promise as a punt returner, but drops are clearly an issue. Kane Medrano can't get on the field. Bill, arguably Adam Peters' best pick yet. The value on a 7th round pick there looks like Bill is a legitimate franchise running back. Jayden Daniels, no further explanation, franchise quarterback. Johnny Newton, I think he's getting better. I've seen his potential flash and I've seen him grow this year, but I'm not positive that he's going to maximize it. Not in this system with just how everything's going on defense. It's not a healthy environment for a young player to grow. Let's flow that into Mike Sainristil, who's a better player than he's showing. But that means nothing. If he's on the field and he's not covering, he's not making big plays, he's contributing to the glaring issues with the defense, then his potential and the player that I know he can be means absolutely nothing. At this point, you might need to move him back outside, which doesn't even make sense because he's in his natural position now. Outside is unnatural, but that's where he was better last year. Ben Sinnott, 6 catches in 24 games. Adam Peters told him when he called him on draft day, you remind me of George and Juice, referring to George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk back in San Francisco. The problem is he doesn't catch the ball as well as Kittle. He doesn't block as well as Juszczyk. He also doesn't block as well as Kittle because Kittle's a phenomenal blocker, but he doesn't catch the ball better than Zach Ertz at 34 years old, and he doesn't block better than John Bates. So what really is the point of him on this team right now, and how does he get on the field to even get reps to develop? There's not a path. Brandon Coleman's inactive. Luke McCaffrey, turns out he might be the best special teams player in the NFL. So credit to Luke, man, for just digging into that and trying his best. But he just can't seem to catch the ball, which is weird because he caught touchdowns 2-3 weeks in a row, but he played 36 of 67 snaps against the Cowboys, 2 targets, no catches. If he's not going to get volume in this game, I don't know when it's ever going to happen. Jordan McGee, please get him on the field. Whenever I see him, I feel like he makes a splash play. Let me see with my own two eyes that Jordan McGee is bad at football. Don't just leave him on the bench, because I think McGee can actually do something for this team. Dominique Hampton was released. Javonte Jean-Baptiste. The flashes have been few and far between. He has dealt with a lot of injuries. We'll see if he can get healthy. But that's Adam Peters' draft class. So while he has drafted largely off of potential and athleticism and things of that nature, that depends on good coaching, that depends on playing time, and that depends on you correctly identifying they're not just bodybuilders, they're not just track runners, they can be good football players with their natural gifts and time and development. So how is Adam Peters' classes right? How do they look right now? Might be too early to judge them. I'm going to be consistent and say you probably got to give the guys a full contract before you can judge them, but could be better. Leave it at that. There were reports all summer long that the vibes at camp just felt a little bit different. And while I get a little frustrated with some people who want to blame Terry McLaurin for everything, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't agree that we should be doing that. But as more time goes on, I start to realize that I overlooked the impact of the McLaurin contract situation from a holistic perspective. So let me elaborate on that. Terry McLaurin's contract is not why Marshawn Lattimore can't cover a receiver. It's not why Quan Martin can't tackle. It's not why Bobby Wagner's losing his speed. So anytime someone says McLaurin caused all of this, if the defense was league average and could have a good game here and there, we might not be making these types of videos. The Commanders would probably be 5-2, 6-1 right now if their defense wasn't just atrocious. But there is absolutely an increasing amount of truth to Terry's distraction this summer playing a role in what looks like it is the downfall of the team. We're only 3-4, but looking at the upcoming 3 games at Chiefs, Seahawks, Lions, 3-4 might become 3-7 pretty quickly. Terry's whole situation this summer was just so weird, man. Saying that he hasn't spoken to the front office in a month, the Eastern's press conference, doing yoga out in Herndon or Reston, wherever he was, Ashburn, coming to practice in shorts and a hoodie, parading your agent around for everyone to see, clearly making yourself a spectacle, but then not speaking to the media. As soon as he signs the deal, he has the press conference and then tells the whole world, yeah, I demanded a trade and it was real. It was not a negotiating tool. I didn't want to be here anymore. Everything about it is so weird. And I think the players got caught up in the fanfare. We have been enamored by Jayden Daniels, as we should, after being subjected to, do I need to run down the list, to Josh Johnson and to Carson Wentz and to Sam Howell and to Kirk Cousins, who we would take in a heartbeat over some of those guys, and Kyle Allen and Rex Grossman and Donovan McNabb and Alex Smith. After all the horrendous quarterback play we've been subjected to, of course the fans loved Jayden Daniels. I think the players bought into the mindset that Jayden was just going to save them. And now Jayden's not playing hero ball. Still don't think Jayden is playing bad, but let's just be fair and evaluate ourselves. We're talking coming out of the Cowboys game. We're talking like Jayden played a bad game. And you know what? He missed a lot of passes. I'm not defending his inaccuracy or anything like that, but we are talking about a guy who, with no running support, with an offensive lineman make a return from a torn ACL, with mostly practice squad receivers, and the ones who weren't practice squad receivers were a rookie and a sophomore. Despite all of that, Jayden in the first half had 160 yards and 2 touchdowns on the road. And we're saying he played poorly. We're angry with him. Think about the standard that we are holding him to. Brotherhood, complementary football, like the coaches want you to believe is the style of football we play. Complementary football would be Dak's in for his worst game of the year. Jayden, you're in an unwinnable position, man. We got your back, brother. Instead, they give up 27 points in the first half. So this whole brotherhood stuff, yeah, I think the players like each other. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about elevating your game in key moments. So rarely last year did someone step up to make a play aside from Jayden. You got him from Terry sometimes. You got him from Wagner sometimes. Quan had a pick 6 in the Lions game. You got him from Mikey sometimes. But like, was there a guy? Was there a position group? Was there a unit that stepped up and said, hey, look, you don't have it. I got your back today. I'm going to go win the game. No, there wasn't. So how this team wants to talk about brotherhood, and I guess how I view it might just be a little different. And we're at the end of the video. I'm trying to get more and more optimistic, or maybe not even optimistic. Maybe that's not the right word. I'm trying to have a more positive outlook moving forward, because being sad and upset does absolutely nothing. And I don't want to be doom and gloom. I don't want to be that guy. And I promise you, I'm not trying to be in this video. I'm just trying to be transparent and honest with you. As we go forward, I got a comment from someone who asked me to do basically give an analysis on how I fix the team. I'm going to make a video about that. When I have this live stream, we are going to look at plays. We're going to talk about the specifics. Like, we're going to get into the details. We're going to get into analysis and all that stuff. But there's just so much going on right now. There's so much clutter to sort through. It's like when a relative passes away, you got to go clean out their attic. I feel like that's where we're at with this team. It's like we're talking about basically blowing up a team that was in the conference championship game last year. It's just such a weird position to be in. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. If you made it to the end, make sure you hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe button if you are new around here. Go to the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on everything I did and did not say. Be on the lookout for a stream. Again, I'm really going to try. Can't promise it's coming today, but it's coming in the next couple of days, hopefully. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great day.